So let's say we have a client, we're not only doing a primarily lower body training day, but let's say that you've established either through your training sessions or your assessments, whatever it is that you might perform, you've established that maybe they've got some overactivity, some tightness in the quads and hip flexors, and we want to work on strengthening the glutes. So this warm up, these 6 moves we're going to go through that represent our prep and prime, they're geared towards that. Not only the movements we're going to do that day, right? We're going to do some squatting, some lunging, so they're going to prepare us for that for anybody, but especially for someone who may have some of these issues that we're talking about, and we want to make some incremental improvements, all right? So the way that I would go about doing it with these 6 moves is almost just timing them, especially as we're going to do multiple sides, where you're able to do, you know, somewhere around a minute per side. You'll have some flexibility as you go through it, but you guys can, you know, try and replicate this on your own so you get a sense of what it feels like, and also time it out. That way you're there with a client, you really understand like when and how they should be moving through these moves. So first off, let's say again, we've got some overactivity in the quads, hip flexors, so you decide you want to do some myofascial release. Well, in our prep phase early on, great thing to do. Not the most time efficient to roll my whole body, right? But if I know this is my problem area and it's gonna, you know, limit me in my workout or be involved, then cool, we're gonna focus on that. So without going through the entire 30 seconds to a minute per side, we're gonna spend some time foam rolling the hip flexors and quads, all right? So however you would go through your methods of foam rolling and working on, again, just trying to improve and increase the range of motion, right? Have a little bit of a mechanical impact, neurologically calm down those quadricep muscles, the hip flexors, and boom, we'd spend time there. Again, 30 seconds to a minute based on how you're flowing through, and we'd go through and do both sides. Now, right after we've done in that prep phase, we've done a little soft tissue work. Now we want to go about doing either some version, it could be static and or dynamic stretching for the quads and hip flexors. Right, we got some options here. I like to start in this little half kneel position, toe dug in, squeeze the glutes, tuck the hips under, and that's going to give you, as you rock forward, a nice good like psoas hip flexor stretch, and then relaxing those hips, dig through that back toe, squeeze the glutes, and push to that back foot, right? So now we're just getting real active. Starting to get a little bit more motion going here. So as we are thinking warm-up wise, there's some movement, which is not just physiologically important, but there's some energy to what we're doing. And we could even from here, again, we could start to come up a little bit and make that a little bit more active, but not necessary. Either way, we've at least accomplished a little bit of foam rolling for the quads and hip flexors, and then gotten into a little bit of dynamic stretching. Now, if we're thinking about especially the overactive, underactive model that NASM talks about, it's now a great opportunity to activate and strengthen the backside, especially for our client. We talked about they need some more glute strengthening for those squats and lunges we're going to be doing. So we would flip right over, and you got lots of options with glute bridges here. Just a lateral plank clamshell. This is a great one to get some abduction in the hips. And again, we address some restriction and tightness on the front side. Now we're looking to increase some signal isolated, right? So we're thinking single joint. Another great option here would also be just a single leg bridge of some kind, all right? So either way, we're getting some glute activation. And that, again, maybe you're done in less than 3 minutes on those 3 moves, and we're going right into our prime. So now from that, we're gonna start to go with some slightly bigger moves. In general, we're gonna be doing some squatting today, so there's nothing wrong with, and it makes sense to groove that squat pattern. And I'm gonna do a counter leverage squat because it's also a great way to add in some core activation. And we're only in move 4, right? I'm already breathing a little heavier and I haven't even done both sides. A little temperature increase already. Nice and slow, slow tempo, counterbalancing with that weight, working on depth here, and just trying to groove into a good squat position, whatever that looks like for the client. You'll probably find by reps 3, 4, 5, as you're doing a set of 10, that they start to get into a slightly deeper position. And hopefully that's going to translate over into whatever type of squatting we might be doing that day. All right, so we're on move 4 right there. Just want to integrate a little bit more and add in a little bit of some core activation to the exercise too, some stability, right? So there's a lot going on here, but we're starting to get bigger motions and movements. We've addressed some of the restriction already. And so now we're going to do this lunge Pollock press variation. So a lot of anti-rotation in the core, working on some activation in that outside hip. And hopefully if I've done my job on the other moves so far in my warm-up, by here, your client's like, wow, okay, first off, body temperature is really going up. We're working on some good full body integrated movement and some stability. hitting both sides, and then moving on to our last one. Again, we've gotten through 5 moves. We've really fired up a lot inside the body, a lot of efficiency so far in this prep and prime phase. And now would be a good opportunity, if it's appropriate for your client, and there's different ways to do it, some type of power, right? Something before we actually go into, let's say, our goblet squats or our split squats. So I've just chosen a kettlebell dead stop swing, right? Mostly because it doesn't require any impact, any jumping, but now it does get some activation and some power coming from those hips. So going right into our dead stop swing. All right, boom, back down, hitting 2. And there you have it. That is our prep and prime in action for a client who, again, we've got some restriction on the front side. We want to work on activating and strengthening those glutes for that lower body workout, and we did it in just 6 moves, and I promise you that is going to be a pretty efficient warm-up for just about anybody. We rolled the quads and hip flexors, we did a little bit of dynamic stretching, then we went into some glute activation, and then we followed that up with just grooving that squat motion with our counter lever squat. We did a little bit of core and balance activation with that Pollock lunge, and we finished off with a little bit of power. So you guys got it. I'm telling you, this will definitely elevate your warm-up game and also make you more efficient so that you have a lot of time to still focus on the rest of your training session, which is going to deliver the other results that your clients might be coming to you for.